Thank you so much for coming to hang out for another episode here of The Luke Kelly Show. I'm recording this on a Sunday morning right before NFL football starts. But before I even got to recording today, I had to do something else that was very important. That is make breakfast. To me, the best day of the week to make breakfast. If you're not a breakfast person during the week, at least on Sunday, you need to be having a nice big breakfast. I grew up always having a fantastic Sunday breakfast. Whether it was going over to my grandpa's house, eating some breakfast tacos or burritos or tamales, whatever he had over at his house, always enjoyed doing that. That food was so damn good. And now every single Sunday, I want to have a good breakfast. Now, I'm someone that loves to eat breakfast throughout the week. Every single day, you're going to catch me eating breakfast. But you might be one of those people that don't eat breakfast during the week because you just don't have enough time to make breakfast before you go off to work. But I'm here to tell you that you need to start eating breakfast more during the week. And I think Sunday, if you had a good Sunday breakfast, it would make you want to have breakfast throughout the weekdays. That's why I'm saying I grew up on always having a great Sunday breakfast. If we weren't going over to my grandpa's house, which most likely we were going over to my grandparents' house for breakfast, I mean, he always had the works. Fresh homemade tortillas, rice, beans, some sort of meat. Now, at a young age, I learned to stop asking what kind of meat we were having with our eggs and potatoes, because one time I got, oh yeah, it's a cow's tongue. I said, excuse me? Yeah, it's a cow's tongue. And it scared me. But guess what? I ate that sumbitch. You know why? Because it was good. I'm not someone that hears what it is and like, no, I can't eat it because it's a deer or it's a cow, like I can't eat those sorts of things. I'm always going to eat it. I don't care if it tastes good. I'm freaking eating it. I know a lot of people freak out when they hear calamari. Me, never batted an eyelash at the word calamari. When I figured out it was squid, I'm like, oh, okay, I like to eat that animal. It's cool. But I always enjoyed that stuff. And then once I got older, the more disgusting it sounded, the more I appreciated it. I'm like, okay, this stuff is really good. It is fantastic. But that was pretty much every single Sunday I would go over there to my grandparents. If we didn't go over there, my dad also had a Sunday morning routine where he would go to the grocery store. He would go to Jewel. That was the grocery store in the suburbs of Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. He would go and get his newspaper. He would go and get himself some Cheetos Puffs. And he would bring back some chocolate milk, either donuts from Jewel or donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts was a real big treat. But that was just tradition. I loved it. And every once in a while, too, my dad would go and get tamales. But that was very few and far between. I enjoyed those big breakfasts on Sunday, being lazy, especially during the football season. You wake up. If I would go over to my grandparents, have a ton of breakfast tacos, feel like I should just go to sleep after eating all that. Most of the time I actually would take a little nap, wake up and there would be football on, and then I would be hungry again, and then I would have some more breakfast. Like Sunday is just that revolving day of waking up, eating, sleeping, and then waking back up. To me, that's just a perfect Sunday. And in the fall, with the NFL on, it makes it that much better. I live for those days. I absolutely love it. I love being able to make a big breakfast now for myself and Nora. I think Nora is the one that loves it the most because we're always eating good on Sunday mornings. This morning, I made some awesome breakfast burritos. I had to use, cut back on some things to make it a little bit healthier. Went with a healthier tortilla, some egg whites mixed in with the eggs instead of just the pure egg, and some turkey breakfast sausage, so that way it wasn't too fatty, because later in the day we're having some chili that I made as well. Just been cooking a lot this weekend. But those breakfast burritos hit so damn hard this morning. I'm like, I don't think there is a better breakfast. And then I got to thinking, there is a better breakfast. There are some better breakfast options out there. Some of them I wasn't introduced to until later in life, just because of where I lived. Like biscuits and gravy, for example, was not that big where I'm from. I had a few friends that had some family members that were from the South or were a little bit more country, I would say, and would eat biscuits and gravy every time. Not every time, but they would eat biscuits and gravy. And I remember the first time I tried, I'm like, this shit's good. This is what I needed in my life. I needed a little biscuits and gravy. And then once I started to make biscuits and gravy myself, I'm like, oh man, this shit's really good. Now I get to control how it's made, make it a little bit more spicier, add a lot more flavor to that. I'm creaming my pants just thinking about that biscuits and gravy. And for Christmas last year, Nora and I actually made homemade biscuits too to go with the gravy. That wasn't as much work as what people told me it was. The effort wasn't really worth it. Everybody I've talked to said, yeah, making homemade biscuits isn't worth it. I would totally disagree with that. After having homemade biscuits with B's and G's, changed the game. It was a game changer. I've only made biscuits and gravy probably a handful of times since last Christmas, and I've used canned biscuits, just not the same. I need to find a special occasion to make biscuits and gravy. I like a big savory breakfast. Some people like sweet breakfasts. My mom, for example, she always appreciated when my dad brought some donuts home from Jewel or Dunkin' Donuts. My mom is the type of person that could have a slice of chocolate cake for breakfast. To me, I'm like, where's the health benefit in having chocolate cake for breakfast? She was Bruce from Matilda before Matilda was around, shoving her face with chocolate cake. She always had a cup of hot tea to go along with it. I can't do sweets that often. But if I'm going to have a donut, I could house donuts. And then I won't have them again for like another 3, 4, 5 months. Like there's this donut place in Louisville. It's called Sugar and Spice. I really enjoy it because of all the different kind of donut flavors they have. And they're smaller, so you get to try a lot more. And they're so light when you bite into them. I mean, I honestly bet if you came to Louisville and you tried one of their donuts, you could eat a dozen by yourself. There's some days that I bring home Sugar and Spice donuts and I'm like, I should have gotten 2 dozen. Because I know after the time I have all my coffee and I have a few donuts that I could polish off about 5 to 6 more donuts. I know that, especially from Sugar and Spice. If you are from Louisville, you know what I'm talking about. The donuts are just the perfect size, and you could throw them back like you're throwing back beers in the summer on a boat. But I like I said, I'm not a big sweets person. If I'm going to do sweets, it's going to be a donut. Nora likes waffles. My mom likes waffles. Kids like waffles, anything sweet that they could get their hands on for breakfast. They love that stuff. Me, was never a huge phase. Very slight phase that I had. Always enjoyed having eggs, bacon, biscuits. I always enjoyed that. But I feel like now, after talking so in depth about some of the best breakfast stuff, I need to compile a list. And that's what, and you know what, matter of fact, that's what we're going to do for today. The top 3 Sunday breakfast foods. Are you ready for it? I think you are. Let's start at number 3 right now with the number 3 Sunday breakfast is being a donut. As I mentioned, I'm not a huge sweets person, but I do appreciate a good donut. Not from Dunkin' Donuts, not from Krispy Kreme, but from a good local bakery. Donuts, when done well, are a great breakfast. That's why they're at number 3 for me on the top 3 Sunday breakfast foods. Coming in at number 2, just because I had them this morning and they were such a big part of my childhood, breakfast tacos or burritos. Some potatoes, eggs, some sort of meat to go along with it. You couldn't get any better. My favorite is chorizo and eggs and potatoes. That to me is just my childhood wrapped up all together. That's why I like it so much. And a little salsa. When I say salsa, I mean like a chili, not like a salsa that you dip, your chips in at a restaurant, but more of like a hot sauce sort of thing. Breakfast tacos or burritos coming in at number 3 of the top breakfast food for a Sunday. And number 1, it came into my life a little bit later, but now holds a special place in my heart. That white sauce with those brown chunks of sausage. And a nice, light, fluffy biscuit. Those biscuits and gravy. Oh my gosh. If it sounds like I'm coming my pants right now, it's not the gravy sauce. That's the Luke sauce, baby. Okay, that probably grossed you out a little bit. It grossed me out. But it'll never gross me out enough to stop eating biscuits and gravy. I'm going to eat that shit all the time. Get me a shovel. You know what? Skip the shovel. Just give me the pot of gravy and I'll pour it in my mouth. I'll tear up pieces of biscuits, throw them in my mouth, pour a little gravy in there. It would be such a gluttonous move, but it's one that I would love to try and do. Biscuits and gravy, the number 1 spot on the top 3 Sunday breakfast foods. What a list that was. That might have been my best list. That might have been my most passionate list that I've done so far. That's how much I love breakfast, especially on Sundays. But if you have too big of a breakfast on a Sunday, you might be getting little issues in your tummy. Sometimes you might have to change your underwear afterwards because you're just eating a little bit too much. And you should be changing your underwear every single day, okay? I saw a story online and I was super surprised to see this. This might be one of the most disgusting stats you'll ever hear in your whole entire life. 1 in 2 people wear their underwear more than once. I'll say that one more time for you, and then I'll let it sink in. 1 in 2 people wear underwear more than once. Are you that person listening to the Luke Kelly Show right now? Are you that person with dirty underwear on? If you are, take your ass in your room, open up your drawer, and go grab some new undies. No underwear should be worn more than once. I'll tell you how anal I am about it. If I have to go run an errand, say I've been hanging out outside or hanging out at home all day. When I'm at home, I don't wear underwear. I feel like that's the one place you don't need to be wearing underwear is at your own house. You should be as comfortable as you want to be. But if I have to run to Kroger and I have to put underwear on, as soon as I come home, that pair of underwear that I just wore for 5 minutes is going in the dirty laundry. If you're someone that would go and then come back home and wear those underwear again, you're gross. You are nasty. You are the reason why sicknesses get spread in the office. You're the one that thinks that when you go into the bathroom, you don't have to wash your hands because you just touched your junk. No, you need to wash your hands. Don't be gross. Change your underwear. Like if you go to work out, this was the most disgusting thing that I saw in this study. There were people that said that they would wear their underwear even if they were a little damp. If they went to go work out, they would come home and still wear that pair of underwear again. No. I'm like that with my... No, I shouldn't say I'm like that with my socks. But when it comes to socks, if I put on socks for 2 minutes, I throw them in the laundry basket. Listen, I am one of the laziest people on the face of the earth when it comes to doing laundry. Back in my single days, instead of doing laundry all the time when I would run out of underwear, I would go to Walmart and go buy a new package of Hanes. That would buy me like 6 more days. Basically another week of doing laundry. And sometimes, if I felt really gross and lazy, that next week when it was probably time to really do laundry, when I went to go do my grocery shopping, I would just pick up another package of Hanes. My pile of laundry used to be stacked pretty much from floor to ceiling in my closet when I was living by myself. Like, I could be as gross as I want to be. And another reason why I didn't want to do laundry was it was coin laundry in my apartment building. I'm like, man, I don't want to have to pay to do laundry. And I would always forget to get quarters, too. But you can't be doing that. You have to grow up at some point in your life. And part of those responsibilities of growing up in life is taking good care of yourself, okay? Because you can get an infection. I don't know if this is mathematically true or scientifically true. But if you're wearing dirty underwear, you're probably going to get sick from it. You have a little doo-doo stain in your chones, and it's rubbing up. Probably not good for your body. Save that doo-doo in your pants for when you're older and you can't control it anymore, and when somebody has to come and wipe and change you. That's reserved for the last 5 years of your life and the first 4 years of your life, or however old you are until you're potty trained. I don't know what that age is. I feel like it's way before 4, by the way. I just threw out a random age. From kids from 1 to 92. Okay? Sit in that soil when you're young in your life and you're old in your life. Other than that, be changing your underwear all the freaking time. If not, I will come and chase you down and give you the world's biggest wedgie. I will hang your underwear off of a towel hook in the bathroom, and you'll just be dangling there, getting the world's worst wedgie. I'm not about that, because I feel like with dirty underwear comes nasty body odor. And if you're spraying that with like Febreze or something that you think is going to cover up that smell, there's nothing that's going to cover up that smell. Just to let you know. Not a damn freaking thing. I've had a lot of random thoughts that have run through my head the last few days. And you can catch a lot of my random thoughts on my Twitter at Luke Kelly Show. That's where I usually post. I'm not big on any other social media platform. Every once in a while, you'll catch me putting up an Instagram story. But just random shit just pops into my head all the time. Mostly of the good old days. And one of the things that I miss from the good old days is Nickelodeon television. The shows that they used to have on Nickelodeon were fantastic. From the game shows to the cartoons to like the human-based shows of like all that. Clarissa Explains It All. Trying to think of some other ones. The Amanda Show a little bit later. But I thought the one really good thing that Nickelodeon always had in their back pocket above the Disney Channel was their game shows. Their game shows, I think, were better than adult TV game shows because it was a slobbery mess. People were getting slimed all the time on these things. And I was thinking of my two favorite Nickelodeon game shows over the weekend. If you were following me on Twitter at Luke Kelly Show, you would have been able to vote on this poll. But I posted, what was the better Nickelodeon game show? Guts or Legends of the Hidden Temple? Legends of the Hidden Temple won 100%. Guts didn't get one single vote. This hurts me because I loved Guts more than I did Legends of the Hidden Temple, and I'll tell you why. Guts, to me, Guts were global Guts, depending on the season, was a lot more athletic based. People were swimming, climbing rocks, jumping, and then jumping down on the floor, jumping back up, trying to grab some balls, put them back in a cylinder. Like, it was a lot more athletic, I felt like. You didn't have to answer questions to be able to get ahead of an opponent. It was just pure athleticism. And I enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed Mo on there, who was kind of a co-host on that show. But she would be like, "Are you ready?" She had some sort of British accent. Go! I'm like, oh, I love her. She might have been my second. Nah, she might have been my first Nickelodeon crush, man. Because Figure It Out came a little bit later. Yeah, Summer Sanders. She was, I love me some Summer Sanders on Figure It Out. But the thing that I loved most about Guts was the finale. The last obstacle course there was pure insanity. Stuff would be falling down. And you would have to try and hit these buzzers along the way trying to get to the top. I think it was called the Craig or something like that. But you would have to climb, avoid rocks falling, snow falling, confetti falling. There was just so much that was happening on that. Kids were being wiped out by fake rocks that were falling down. And then they would get to the top, hit that buzzer, they would win. And I always thought it was super funny. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. They'd be like, before we have the official results, let's go to Mo to go get those. They'd be like, even though they finished first, they might not have hit one of the buzzers along the way or something like that. And if they missed it, they would be disqualified. Or they would have some sort of 10-second penalty or something added to their time. So I love that show just because of that. I told you why. It felt a lot more of a athletic competition than any other show on there. Now, Legends of the Hidden Temple, I don't want to take anything away from Legends of the Hidden Temple. It was a good game. But the way that you would advance, the way that you would get an edge up on your opponents was answering trivia correctly. I always wanted to be on Team Barracudas on Legends of the Hidden Temple. Barracuda just sounds badass. Sounds a lot cooler than a parrot, doesn't it? Can't remember. It was something parrots, and then I think it was like the golden frogs too, or something like that. But you would advance. I think there would be a total of 4 teams at the beginning of the show, and then it would dwindle down to 3, and then 2, and then there would be one final team that would be able to go inside of Olmec's temple to try and save the day and win it. I always thought it was awesome, but I'm not going to lie. I always jumped when you would see one of those madmen come out of nowhere. They would come out of nowhere and just steal a child in the middle of a game show. I was petrified for those children. It's like, what are happening to those kids? They were just kidnapped on live TV. It never seemed like kids won that final obstacle course. It always felt like both kids were kidnapped. Whenever you did see someone win, you would celebrate just as hard as them because you're like, yeah, they finally did it. They finally won. And then they would get like a cool little prize. Man, sometimes Nickelodeon had the worst prizes. Be like, yeah, you get some Skechers. Thanks for going all out there, Nickelodeon. I can't wait to wear my Skechers at school and get made fun of. Appreciate it. Although that would be the one time that you could get away with wearing Skechers to school because it's like, yeah, I was on Legends of the Hidden Temple. That's how I won these shoes. That's bragging rights. I think Nickelodeon needs to bring this stuff back. They probably don't because of the liability that comes with that shit. I would be scared to be a network to host those shows. Be like, waiver after waiver you have to sign in order to be on this. Man, that was fun today. Got to reminisce, talking about some old Nickelodeon shows, talking about Sunday morning breakfast. If you don't have a Sunday morning breakfast routine, get yourself one. Your life will be happier if you do that. If not, just enjoy being miserable still. Go all out for breakfast on Sunday mornings. If you have children, they will appreciate that too. On Wednesday's episode of The Luke Kelly Show, we'll have Nora stop by for a smut tale. Who's going to be doing the smut tale on Wednesday? Is it going to be me? Because I'm reading now. I have to say, I haven't been reading that much. The book has been a work to get through just because it's not my cup of tea. Okay, I'm trying to get through this book. How long it's going to take me, I don't know. That's why I don't know if I'm going to have a quote for Wednesday, for Smut Tale Wednesday. So it's either going to be me or Nora doing it, and I know you want to show up for that. And thanks for showing up today. Remember, tell your friends about this show. Tell them that you laugh periodically throughout it. Periodically. I think that's a better word for it. But I'll talk to you on Wednesday here on The Luke Kelly Show.